Hi, everyone. It's Monday, July 17th, and it's day 3 of my going live each and every day. Today, we're going to talk about transportation. Before we get into transportation, though, I really want to bring something to your attention, and that is, or bring it to your attention to talk about why I picked transportation today, and that is because I saw 3 posts in the last 24 hours on some of the parent Facebook groups that I belong to asking questions about transportation. And one of the most important posts I saw that really spoke to me was a parent who said, basically, eek. They're telling me, well, I saw 2 posts. They're telling me that the teachers are telling me, gosh, I'm having one of those days, aren't I? Well, bear with me. Here we go. We're going to start this from the top because clearly I'm tripping over my tongue. Okay, so I saw 2 posts this weekend about transportation. The first question was, the teachers are telling me they cannot cope with my son, but how am I going to get him to the other school? Both my husband and I work all day. We can't get him there. The other question was, the teacher just told me that my kindergartner might not have a seat on the bus because they don't have room. So let's talk about transportation. First of all, transportation is a related service for students who have IEPs. A related service can mean anything from transportation, art therapies, speech therapy, occupational therapy, physical therapy, adaptive PE, music therapy, recreational therapy, executive functioning skills therapies, you name it, it counts. Transportation is an interesting one, though, because it seems to generate a lot of questions. Partially, it's because it's how your school district handles it, more than anything. Lots of school districts provide transportation to all children. And if they provide transportation to all children, they should certainly be providing transportation to your child who has an IEP or 504 plan. Other school districts make a big to-do about the fact that they can only provide transportation to students with IEPs. And another subset of all school districts say not only do they only provide transportation to students with IEPs, but they'll only provide transportation to students with IEPs who are in special day classes. Well, none of those are bad policies per se, but what if your student doesn't fall into their category and your student needs transportation? And a lot of parents post their questions because what comes up is the parent says, I just can't do it, I work. Or I have to be in 2 places at once because I have one child to pick up in one place and one child to pick up in another place, and I can't handle all of this. I want to suggest to you that while those are really good reasons to need transportation, those are not good reasons to ask for transportation as a part of your student's IEP. Rather, you want to talk about how transportation is necessary for your child to access his or her education. In the first example, the parent reported that the teachers are saying they can't handle the child. And I got the sense from the post that meant that teachers are saying they literally could not handle the child's behaviors. And therefore, they were sort of dumping it in the parent's lap. Well, if teachers are saying they can't meet or they can't meet your child's needs because of their behaviors, they don't know how to cope with their child's behaviors, then it's time for an IEP meeting, because one of many different or all of these things have to happen. First of all, you need an IEP meeting. Next, you need to have a behavioral analysis done, right? You need to implement a behavior positive support behavior plan, right? And because teachers say they don't know how to cope, the child may need a one-to-one in the classroom. The teachers may need training. The child may indeed need another placement. All of these things could be happening. But before you do anything, you have to really get down on paper. What are the behaviors that are causing difficulties, right? And it's not about causing the teacher's difficulties, although if you are a teacher, I care. I really am sensitive to the fact that a child's behaviors affect the classroom and how other students learn and your ability to teach. But first and foremost, IEP is about making sure that the student can access the education. So we need to look at training and supports for the teacher in the classroom, training and supports for staff working directly with the student, and a possible placement change. If the child needs to go to a different school, a different setting, a different campus, because that different location has the services and supports that can meet the child's needs and ensure that the child receives a free, appropriate public education, then guess who gets to transport the student? It isn't the parent. It is the school district. Yep, it's the school district. If your child needs to be on a different campus, then they need to be transported by the school districts. Some school districts do this by having all of the students meet on their home campus and then transporting from their local homeschool campus to the other campus. That's one way they do it, and that's a perfectly valid way to do it. Another way they do it is they literally do door-to-door service. That kind of depends on your school district and what you discuss with your school district. Again, basing a transportation request on your needs, the parent's needs, is rarely the way that you're going to accomplish getting this into the IEP. And that sort of relates to the second parent, which says that they're being told that their student with an IEP in kindergarten, so they're in a half-day program, that there isn't room on the bus for the student. And the answer is, if all of the students are being provided with services, including transportation, then the school district will just get to find a way to provide that kindergartner with transportation as well. I don't recommend that as parents that you bring this up with the teachers. I know teachers come to you to talk about this. This isn't going to be resolved. None of these questions are going to be resolved merely by talking to the teacher. I know we all think that they will be. I certainly thought so when I first got into advocating for my own daughter very many years ago. I thought, I just need to talk to the teacher. We can get it settled. But no, you need to do this within the context of an IEP team, and you need to do this with usually the principal or even higher to make decisions about how transportation is going to be handled. Because one of the things teachers don't get to do is they don't set their budgets outside of their own classroom, right, when they buy classroom supplies, nor can they decide how to budget for school resources or expend school resources. That's why IEP team meetings must include an administrator who understands the resources of the school district and can commit those resources of the school district. But more on this topic, because I really want to talk about what underlies these questions from both parents, and that is, often teachers come to us as parents and say, I cannot cope with your child, or your child isn't learning to read, you need to help them after school, or your child's having problems in this area, so you should do this at home, or we don't have room on the bus, or whatever reason. The big issue is when your child has an IEP, it's not your job to find the solution. It's the job of the IEP team to create a solution. That's why we have a team. Many people with an understanding of various different aspects of education who can all come together and talk about it. Me, I never wanted my child on a school bus. Well, okay, she started riding the school bus before she got an IEP when she was in first grade. And then I learned about a month or even 2 months after the fact that she'd been threatened by another student with a knife on the school bus. That was the last time my child ever rode a school bus. I was not comfortable. I was never going to be comfortable. And what bothered me most of all was, of course, that while the teacher knew it, and the principal knew it, and the other kids knew it, everybody knew it, but I was the last to learn about it. I wasn't okay with that. But that doesn't happen a lot and frequently. And if bus transportation works for you and your family and your student, and within your community, and you're happy with it and or you need it, then you have to discuss this with an IEP team. And when a teacher comes to you and says, well, your child needs, more help with learning how to read, well, that's good. And I think you should help them after school. But keep in mind that homework should be limited to about 20 minutes a day per grade. So if your child's in first grade, that's 20 minutes a day. If your child's in second grade, that's 40 minutes a day. And that includes what reading they should do. And if your child really is having difficulties learning how to read, then the teacher really should be talking to the principal at their school, talking about that this student needs more help. They need a response to intervention more than just the ordinary. They need at least tier 1 or possibly even tier 2 interventions, because tier 3 interventions are generally special education. We don't have to start there, but we certainly have to be thinking about it. It's not your job. As a parent, it's not your job to write a prior written notice. As a parent, it's not your job to tell school districts how to make sure that an IEP is written appropriately, that the goals are actually measurable, that they're attainable and ambitious, that they're time bound. That's not your job. It's the school's job. They're the ones who are the experts in how schools work and how IEPs work. And you have to think strategically. Sometimes as a parent, it's in your child's best interest to indeed help the staff of the staff of the school or the rest of the IEP team members. Boy, I'm really continuing to stumble, aren't I? Okay, sometimes it's really in your child's best interest to help staff understand that when they tell you that Johnny will learn to read at a second grade level by the end of fourth grade, that's kind of not an ambitious goal, and it certainly doesn't describe, what the problem is, because there's lots of issues that could be happening with Johnny's ability to learn how to read, and you want more specifics and all of these kinds of things. But it's not always your job to really do this. Better might be to say, I don't think this goal is ambitious. It might be a better strategy. You have to think about this. And you have to think about strategy. You have to think about what you want to do. And strategy is what we're going to be talking about continually in our live Faith Without Frustration program. If you're interested, pop me a message, put it in the comments down below. Don't forget, if you like what we're saying and what we're doing here with our daily tips on IEPs, put it in the comments. Like us, share us, ask us questions. I look forward. Tomorrow we'll be talking again right around noon. What the topic will be, right this minute, I don't know. I'm waiting to see what the conversations are with me and with the parent Facebook groups around the country. So thank you, and we'll talk tomorrow. Bye.